Today is Thursday, December 5th. We'll tell you about a manhunt now underway for the person who shot and killed a high-powered insurance executive in broad daylight in New York City. Also, why 2 European governments have collapsed in a matter of weeks. Plus, how President-elect Trump helped Bitcoin reach a new record. Which big cities are in the path of the latest winter storm? And who was crowned Spotify's biggest artist of 2024? Those stories and even more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The search is on for a gunman who killed the leader of the largest health insurer in the country. Police say United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was murdered in a brazen, targeted attack. The shooter apparently waited for the executive outside a hotel in Midtown Manhattan, where United Health Group was holding its yearly investor conference. This is right in the heart of the city's business and tourist districts, so there were plenty of witnesses and surveillance cameras. But police say the shooter was still able to get away on an electric bike through Central Park. As of this morning, law enforcement officers have not identified him. They say Thompson had recently been threatened, but that it's a pretty common thing for healthcare executives. Federal regulators have recently accused United Healthcare of systematically denying authorization for procedures and treatments. Officials have also scrutinized its parent company after a cyber attack that compromised more than 100 million Americans' information. But it's not clear if Thompson was targeted because of his job or for another reason. For now, authorities just say it was not random. Stay tuned. Another tough story to tell you about this morning. A school shooting in Northern California has left 2 kindergartners in extremely critical condition. 2 boys, 5 and 6 years old, were both shot at their small religious elementary school yesterday. Law enforcement officers say they don't think the boys had any connection to the shooter, but so far they don't have a motive. They believe the gunman met with an administrator about enrolling another child at the school yesterday morning, but no child was actually with him. Shortly after, shots were fired. The gunman also shot himself and was found dead in the school's playground. Authorities are still investigating, while the injured children are treated at a trauma center near Sacramento. Another one of America's top allies is seeing its government collapse. This time, it's France. The country's far-left and far-right lawmakers joined forces yesterday to hold a no-confidence vote against Prime Minister Michel Barnier. And that forces him to resign, making him head of the shortest-lived government in French history. Barnier was appointed by French President Emmanuel Macron just 3 months ago and was tasked with finding a solution to a growing budget deficit. Well, Barnier's plan was to cut billions of dollars in spending and raise taxes, which opponents say was non-negotiable. Now, Europe's second-largest economy is left without a functioning government for the first time in 60 years. President Macron can pick a replacement, but they'll have to win lawmakers' approval. And at this point, it's not clear who could fit that role. It's also worth mentioning this comes just weeks after the collapse of the German government, also over economic issues. So there could be a tense debate coming for the European Union, too. By the way, you know how we also told you about the political frenzy in South Korea this week? To recap, President Yoon Suk-yeol suddenly decided to declare martial law, then took it back just hours later after a chaotic standoff between the country's military and parliament. Well, now 6 opposition parties have submitted a bill to impeach Yoon. Voting is expected later this week. Some of President-elect Trump's latest staffing picks seem to give clues about his priorities for a second term in office, including one aide from his first term. Peter Navarro is coming back as a senior advisor for trade and manufacturing. Navarro is known as one of Trump's most loyal defenders. He has echoed Trump's support for tariffs and the so-called America First agenda. He was also the first high-ranking Trump official to serve time in prison for the January 6th Capitol riot. Remember, he defied a subpoena from the House panel that investigated the riot, or as Navarro tells it, he refused to betray Trump. And for that, he was found guilty of contempt of Congress. Separately, Trump made an unconventional choice for who he wants to lead NASA. He picked billionaire entrepreneur Jared Isaacman, who has flown to space twice on commercial SpaceX missions that he funded himself. We actually interviewed Isaacman for a special edition episode back in 2021, just before his history-making spaceflight with the world's first all-civilian crew. But Isaacman has never worked for NASA or anywhere in the federal government. He actually made most of his fortune as the founder and CEO of a payment processing company. So some analysts say this pick signals a move toward more commercialization of NASA's operations. Already, the space agency relies heavily on SpaceX and other commercial partners to launch its astronauts, cargo, and spacecraft to the ISS and beyond. At least one of President-elect Trump's choices seems to have pushed Bitcoin to a new record. The cryptocurrency surpassed $100,000 for the first time. Bitcoin has actually been rallying since Trump was first projected to win the presidency, and it's up 130% for the year so far. It's because, on the campaign trail, Trump promised to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the planet. And he took another step in that direction yesterday by saying he plans to nominate a strong advocate of cryptocurrencies to lead the SEC. Former SEC Commissioner Paul Atkins is just the latest pro-crypto pick of Trump's staffing lineup. But this one is especially significant since if the Senate confirms him, Atkins will be tasked with regulating the crypto industry. Though in general, Atkins says he supports deregulation. More news is still coming up, but first, thanks to our sponsor, Quince. Think about how special it is when you get a gift you might not have bought for yourself, but you end up loving it. A lot of times, it's something that feels a bit like a luxury that you just didn't know you were missing. Well, for quality, luxurious gifts that still come at an affordable price, definitely check out Quince. This time of year is perfect to gift someone Quince's iconic Mongolian cashmere sweaters, which start at just $50. Or check out their washable silk items. I adore my washable silk tank from Quince that I can wear on its own or under a blazer. They even have 14-karat gold jewelry, Italian leather handbags, and more. So whatever you're looking for, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the cost of the middleman, Quince passes the savings onto you. Plus, I really appreciate that Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, and they use premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel in every piece. Gift luxury this holiday season without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/newsworthy for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/newsworthy to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/newsworthy. Now back to the news. More snow and frigid temperatures will hit large parts of the country today, including a few major cities that have avoided winter storms so far. 30 states from North Dakota to New York will feel the effect of the latest winter weather, a much larger area than other recent storms. Cities from New York City to Washington, D.C. could see snowy, windy conditions that make travel especially dangerous. And even though meteorologists expect less snow with this system than previous ones, the winds are expected to be more powerful. The National Weather Service is warning people of whiteouts and power outages throughout the Great Lakes region and Northeast, and as far south as West Virginia. Though there is some good news, the weekend is expected to be warmer and less windy for much of the country. And by next week, the weather should be even nicer, with temperatures in Washington, D.C. potentially hitting 65 degrees. A new AI tool could make predicting the weather easier and save lives in the process. It's called GenCast, and it comes from a Google-owned company called DeepMind. This week, the journal Nature published a study that found GenCast can create a 15-day forecast that's more accurate than the best models currently available. And unlike previous AI weather predictors, it gives a range of possible weather scenarios and the likelihood of each one happening. Experts say extending the accuracy window from 10 to 15 days could help governments better track extreme weather and destructive storms, saving lives and preventing damage. Meteorologists say GenCast and other AI tools aren't likely to replace human forecasters anytime soon, but AI is already being integrated into weather centers around the world to help humans improve the accuracy of their predictions. The U.S. golf establishment is the latest to weigh in on the heated issue of transgender athletes in women's sports. The Ladies Professional Golf Association and U.S. Golf Association both announced the changes to their eligibility requirements yesterday. They will not allow transgender women who have gone through male puberty to compete in certain women's events going forward. This means transgender women who want to compete in elite events and tournaments must prove they have not gone through male puberty and have to meet certain testosterone standards. The rules apply to high-level competitions, including the LPGA Tour and the U.S. Women's Open. Right away, this impacts transgender golfer Haley Davidson, who almost made the U.S. Women's Open this year. On Instagram, she wrote, quote, "All the silence and people wanting to stay neutral, thanks for absolutely nothing." The LPGA commissioner said the requirements are based on science and are designed to ensure competitive fairness. The new policies go into effect next month. The most popular musical artist of 2024 is Taylor Swift, at least according to Spotify Wrapped. The audio streaming platform's highly anticipated year-end feature came out yesterday. It gathered data from all over the world to show which artists racked up the most streams. Not only was Swift the most popular overall, her Tortured Poets Department was the most streamed album, too. But Sabrina Carpenter had the year's most popular song with Espresso. In terms of podcasts, the Joe Rogan Experience once again was the most popular. It's the 5th straight time the podcast has claimed the top spot on Spotify. This year's Wrapped also has a few new features for users. For starters, you can listen to an AI-generated podcast about your music taste, made in partnership with Google's Notebook LM tool. And users can now share their Wrapped directly to TikTok, in addition to the other social platforms that have been available in previous years. Of course, we love seeing the newsworthy on your Spotify Wrapped if you listen on that app, so keep tagging us on Instagram if we made your top 10. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, a quick break for our sponsor. We've all been there scrambling for a last-minute gift that doesn't feel last-minute. With Trade, you can send a coffee subscription directly to someone's inbox in minutes. It's fast, easy, and guaranteed to impress. I love that gifting a Trade subscription is not just gifting coffee. It's an experience. I can tell you from having a Trade subscription myself that it makes drinking coffee so much more enjoyable. I love getting that fresh bag of coffee in the mail, feeling the excitement of trying something new, and sipping on delicious tasting coffee that I know is high quality. So when you gift this type of experience to a loved one, they'll think of you every time they get a new freshly roasted coffee perfectly matched to their taste from one of the top small batch roasters in the USA. So, are you ready to cross that last gift off your list? Trade Coffee is offering their best savings of the year on gift subscriptions right now. So head to drinktrade.com/newsworthy to send a personalized coffee subscription in minutes. Again, go to drinktrade.com/newsworthy while Trade is offering their best savings of the year on gift subscriptions. Okay, now back to Thing to Know Thursday. Have you ever wondered why humans cry? Not as in because we're sad or overjoyed, but what are the scientific and evolutionary reasons for crying? Well, as a new analysis in the New York Times points it, most animals with eyes produce tears, but in most cases, it's for moisture or to protect from irritants. Humans are the only species that produce emotional tears, and scientists still don't totally understand why. Some experts think it may be an evolutionary development that came from the wails of an infant, since babies cry loudly for their caretakers as a means of survival. But as humans get older, they're able to express distress more quietly, which can encourage empathy from others without all the commotion. As one of the top experts in crying also told The Times, our nature as social animals may play a role in why we cry too. We're meant to connect with other humans, which may be why people cry when they watch a sad movie or when they miss a friend or loved one. Whatever the scientific reason, most psychologists agree that crying, at least in moderation, can be healthy. All right, thank you so much for listening today and making us part of your daily routines. We will catch you up on more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.